I know I've been talking a lot about the illusion or the matrix overlay, the simulation, so many words for it. And I'm really realizing that at the core of many of those that I talk with and work with, there is just this. I'm so done with this matrix. I'm so done with this. I'm so ready for this new world, this new earth, which is not new, but which is something we all long for in our hearts. And I really think that the whole movement towards waking up, leaving the matrix, moving into heaven, as I talked about the other day, it's coming alive. It's like it's coming online and people are feeling it. We're sensing that, like, this is over. I am done with it. And I can sense that in the longing of my heart, there is something much better waiting. And now it's up to us to make that transition, right? From the matrix or from the illusion, and then crossing over a non-existing bridge, although it feels like we have to make a leap into what we can call the Garden of Eden, heaven, paradise, or just, the field of love, the field of peace, of fulfillment. We all know that there is something else than this reality, which I think we kind of are done with. Now, I want to read, I wrote down a lot of words for the illusion. There are so many different words for it, and it's all pointing back to what we've been talking about. So I'm just going to read to you what I have written down just to give you an impression of how many ways can we describe or name something that doesn't even exist except as illusion, optical illusion, Maya, Leela, mesmerism, magnetism, hypnotism, hypnotic suggestion, error, five sense mind, misidentification, misperception, claim, veil, mirage, matrix, dream, fata morgana. I may pronounce it wrong. It's kind of the same as the mirage in the desert or on the ocean. Collective dream, programming, trance, carnal mind, mortal mind, cosmic mind, universal mind, belief in two powers, belief in good and evil, counterfeit, counterfeiting spirit, false light, overlay, simulation, subliminal perception, virtual reality, virtual reality headset, electrical impulses, tempter, devil, Satan, imposter, optical illusion, hologram, and Vertigo. That was a guy, Paul Levy, that wrote a book about Vertigo. And as far as I know, Joel is one of the few that I have heard of, or at least in that whole work that he did, that he was aware of the non-power of this illusion. So what does that mean? Well, it means that everything that we have put our energy and identity into has no power. take that in for a moment. That's pretty big. But that was one of Joel Goldsmith's big ones, that it has no power. Once we realize that, then it is a lot easier to not touch it, to not react to it, as I often talk about here. Again, from my own experience, and I have been with Joel's teaching for many, many years, and it's taken me a long time to really, bring it in more and more and more. What I've seen is, as we start out, we are 100% identified with this dream, with this illusion. And we don't have much energy left to even look outside of it, because everything is, all your energy is here. Boom, it's all locked in. Things happen, somebody says something, you get an insight, you just go like, is this all there is? There's these little impulses that come from somewhere, and you go like, So you start wondering a little bit. You start questioning life. You start thinking like, well, if there is a God, where is this God? And can it be true that it all has to be so hard, that we have to work so hard to live, that we need to, make money and have enough money till the day we die? There's all these weird beliefs that we all have bought into. And then because of that, we live accordingly. But then as we start doing the work, as we start meditating or reading, books that help us wake up, more and more space is available to question things and to use that energy to put it on the nature of God, as Joel Goldsmith talks about it. There's the nature of error, which is the matrix, the illusion, the simulation. That's an error. And once we get a little bit of our energy out of that, then we can put it here and go, okay, so Mr. or Mrs. God, you show me, because I have no clue, right? That's where we go into the nature of prayer, to open up, to receive, and to listen. Now, even as we do that, and I think this is an important point, because we get so disappointed with all the work we do. The illusion, which doesn't exist, it's nothing really. It's an optical illusion. It's something we're experiencing in our mind through our senses. It's not necessarily going to go away just because we start looking inward. It's going to be there, sometimes even more strongly than before, because now it becomes almost like a battle, right? Who's going to win? I'm going to be pulled in here, or I'm going to go here. So as we have these awakenings, which many of us have had and are having, and sometimes we can walk around in just a state of bliss or openness or stillness and peace, and it can be tangible for others. That's what happened to me when I had my big opening in Denmark many years ago. People would be drawn to me because they noticed there was something there. And I talked with a dear friend the other day, and she had a similar experience that lasted for, I think, over a year. And there was just this state of presence and peace. And of course, it's wonderful. And that's what we all long for. And naturally so, because it is our true nature. But then it seems that something happens. And either quickly or little by little, we get pulled back into the overlay, the simulation, the matrix that we live in, just little by little, something happens and we just pull away from this and pull into the world. And we can actually start getting lost in this simulation again. And I don't quite understand why that is, because it seems sometimes that it's a lot of work to not be pulled in, and you may relate to what I'm talking about. But whatever it is, this is what's happening at this point. So when I talk about crossing the bridge from the matrix to peace, love, heaven, call it what you will, the field, it's not just a one-time thing. It's something that needs to become just a regular part of our life, actually. And all I can say is that it gets easier when we really make this a practice. We make this a high priority in our life. Because if we don't, I'm almost guaranteeing you that we're going to be pulled back in. Now, there are people such as Joel, and I didn't meet him because he died in the 60s, and I wasn't introduced to his teaching in a very bizarre way, which you may have heard that I shared. That was in the mid to late 80s. But from what I get from his presence and his transmission and his books and tapes, he was basically living there all the time, but he was also spending hours a day to stay connected so that he could be a pure open vessel for the field to just transmit through or radiate through. So it took him a lot of time. But the thing is that that's all he wanted to do anyway. It was not like hard work for him. It was just a sweet pull. I'm saying this using these words now, but he loved it. There was nothing else that he wanted to do. So to be that open vessel, to bring a new frequency to this planet. So when we're starting, it is hard work. I mean, let's face it, guys, it's hard work because the matrix will pull you out at any moment. And if we don't catch it, we're back there, we're struggling, and it's so easy to give up and say, well, I throw in the towel, this is too hard. I'm just gonna, do my best to enjoy life in this illusion. And so you might do that for a while. I've tried it many times over the years. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work because the pull is much, much stronger to come back in. And then, of course, it takes a lot of work to just get out of the grip again and back into heaven. So this seeming bridge that we cross, it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing practice until it's not. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not there yet, but it's a lot easier for me now than it even was 3, 6, 12 months ago. I think the past many months that energetically the matrix is losing its grip, and that's why it is easier. So many of us are feeling that there really is a shift happening because suddenly the field is much more available. Now we have the old patterns in place that we're so used to going there away from the field. So there's still the work to come back and not touching, because every time we touch it, we're being pulled back in. Every time we do not touch it, we stay present in and as the field or an outlet for the field of love, for the field of fulfillment of the divine. So we have to keep doing this. Personally, I still think it is very, very helpful to connect with others on the same frequency or on the same path, because we encourage each other, we inspire each other to keep going and to hear that, yeah, I'm struggling too. But what I just heard you say, it's like it inspires me to keep going. I have been part of, some of the Joel Goldsmith groups over the years. I find it immensely helpful to just get that boost, together. It's like, oh yeah, because you can feel it. It's stronger when you're doing it like more than one, 5, 10, 20, 100, who knows? Something happens there. It's like the field is stronger because more of us are tuning into it. So it's easier to access it. So please do not give up. It is part of the process, I think, that we feel like we want to give up. We may just give up for a moment and go out and do something stupid or who knows what, just to get away from the hardship. But then we come back again. And if I can normalize it in any way, I see it as that because the grip of the matrix has been so tight that it was very, very hard to get out of it, unless some of us had these big spiritual openings where it's just blasted open and you could just see through the whole darn thing. And then over time, many of us got pulled back in. And then for me, it felt like, okay, now the work begins. Now I need to start letting go. It was a gift of grace that it was shown to me, but now I need to keep that alive. And I have. It's been my deepest foundation, my deepest resting place, to keep going there, to keep not going there. It's very sticky, but it is getting less sticky. If that is something that can help us all just to not feel discouraged, and I know the world, it's really messy, and you don't even know what is right and wrong, what is true anymore. What is an AI generated image, what is a CGI generated video, voiceovers. We don't know anything. There is so much weird stuff going on. And I find that maybe a really good reason to not touch it and not take sides and not make some right and some wrong, not make yourself right, but just let it do its thing. If it is true, like Joel said, that in illusion, it has no power. It's happening inside of our mind. And you cannot project an illusion outside, because it isn't inside the mind thing that's happening. So that's the only place it can be dismantled. So by not touching it, you're not feeding the projection of your own illusion and of the whole, of the universal illusion. So let's just do our best to remember that heaven is spread all over the earth and we cannot see it, because we see the illusion that is being projected into our mind. We can maybe talk about that another time, that it's something that is being projected into our minds and that we accept, we say yes to it. And as soon as we say yes to it, it becomes our reality. And then we start fighting it and believing it and getting upset about it. So it all stops here by us saying, no, I'm not going to touch it anymore. That is a very valid step that many of us need help with. And I highly recommend it if you feel it's too sticky to get unstuck from. In my own experience, it has often felt like it's a saran wrap. I mean, I'm wrapped in this saran wrap, and I can't get out. I can't. And then at a certain point, you can see that it's saran wrap. It's like it's the veil, right? It's like, but it's so sticky. And then little by little, and again, I speak from my own experience, I can see that it is saran wrap. It is a veil of illusion. As soon as we can see it more, there's like a distance, there's a gap. And then we need to make use of this gap, because the gap is, of course, our true nature. So we need to like, oh, I can see it now. And then we can turn back and just be present with who we are, which is a process too, of course, waking up to our true nature, also an ongoing process, a deepening process. But there is really, there are a lot of, it's a big process. And if we have had one huge, big awakening, that was given to us, that I was given, many people have been given it. And then there's a tendency to believe like, oh, now I'm there, I'm awake, I'm enlightened or whatever. And many people start teaching there and believing that they really know it all now. For most people, it's just the first step. I'm not saying for everyone. There are some people who fully pop out of it, and then they can still grow and expand and deepen in it. But they're out enough that they can stay clear in what they're seeing, and then add whatever gets embodied over time. And again, for my own process, I'm not claiming to be a teacher. I'm claiming to be a sharing of my own experience, I think. And I'm just sharing the steps, what I have seen in my journey and still do, that have been helpful for me, and that may also be helpful for you. If you have a very different path that is helpful for you, then I certainly want to invite you to stay with that, because we do have our own movement, and we can stay with that unfolding. So hang in there, reach out if you need to. Please connect with me on my website, Divine Feminine Flow. You can find the link in the description. If you want to join my monthly group that I started recently, this is kind of where we want to spend our time to really dive into what we long for, so we can make ourselves available for that new energy to express itself as you and I. And it is really sweet to do it with other like-hearted souls. And if you like this, I always forget to say this, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I love to hear from you, especially if there's something that really resonates, that you might have gotten an aha out of it. That really sparks something in me that makes it even more fun to keep sharing this. Okay, have a lovely rest of the day. Bye-bye.